Thomas is going to share another story of he has where a story really made an impact.
So this is a story about Santa Monica, which is not a place that any of us live, to my knowledge. It is one of the most expensive places in SoCal. So does anyone want to venture a guess what a single-family home in Santa Monica costs right now?
1.5 million.
More.
2 at least.
Above.
3.
2.5.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
dang.
Yeah, so the average single-family home in Santa Monica.
Those are just abstract numbers.
Yeah, I mean, Beverly Hills is the highest. It's like 5/5, the average single-family home. So that is Santa Monica. It's a very expensive place to live. It also, we've talked about this in the past, it takes like 4 to 8 years for homes to move through the approval process in Santa Monica. So the bigger the project, the closer it is to 8, right? And that a big reason for that is that they have a real culture of being slow growth. And there's actually a really interesting history. It goes back to the 70s. There were a bunch of like kind of progressive radicals who felt like the city was growing too much, basically, and so they wanted to stop that. And they basically created their own like machine that basically picks the politicians. And one of the politicians who came up through this machine, his name was Kevin McKeown. He actually worked, before he got into politics, he worked at the local high school. He worked on computers. He was like their Macintosh computer. If you remember when, some of us remember when schools still had Macintosh computer labs and you would go and they would teach you how to use Google, which is very quaint, today. But that was his job. And he was in office from 1998 through 2021. And when he was elected, he was very skeptical of building housing. So he was very like, we don't need more housing in Santa Monica. We've already developed. He was very interested in homelessness. So he was very interested in housing the homeless population in Santa Monica. But he didn't want other people, like new people, to come to Santa Monica. But over time, he actually became more open on this issue. And in hearing the story, I thought it was really interesting because the way he became more open was hearing the story of students at the local high school and how there were students who would graduate Santa Monica High, or Samohi. Samohi, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm not from Santa Monica, clearly. But he cared about them because he worked at the high school for decades. And the story he heard was about people who would go to school, in some cases go to college, but still not be able to afford to return to Santa Monica because there was no new housing being built. And a particular story, which included data, but was kind of embedded in a story, was that over the 25 years, over the last 40 years, that he had lived in Santa Monica, the city had built far less housing than students who graduated from the local high school. And when he heard that, it clicked for him, and he said, wait a second, if we don't build enough housing for students to come back, then they're going to leave and go somewhere else, right? Like literally, we have to be at least building enough housing for the kids who are graduating if we want to keep families intact, if we want to keep generations together. So it made a real impression on him, and he actually started quoting this. I found an article that he wrote where he said, if we can't house our own talented kids, how can we house the homeless, right? It clicked into place for him that even just this issue that he cared about, right, homeless housing, if you're not housing, students, right, of course the people who are the most vulnerable are going to get pushed out of the city eventually, right? So this really made an impression on him. He kind of changed. He didn't become like totally, what I would consider like pro-housing on every issue. But he really did change his views. And what's cool is that I heard the story from a current member of a Santa Monica City Council, which just this month decided to end single-family zoning in the city of Santa Monica and allow up to 20 units. Yes. So it's still there'll probably be a lawsuit about it. So,
So don't get to
but they have they have built on his kind of turn where like the whole city council used to be very like we don't want to build new housing to now they have a majority of the city council that is hey we recognize the need to build more housing, and so pushing forward these policies that would allow for in the long run more affordability of the market. So it all started with stories about high school students. So
It's a powerful